Hi guys, I've decided today to do a video blog instead of writing it down. Just I guess one, so that you know that the blogs that I'm doing is by a real person that is suffering, I guess. And secondly, so yeah, you see the emotion that is attached to it and know that it is real, but there's also nothing to be ashamed of, which is why I'm showing my face, really. On my blogs, I have mentioned on various occasions that PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is not solely for people that have suffered in combat areas, such as I did in Afghanistan. I was diagnosed with complex PTSD, which means that there's been various traumatic events throughout my life which has got me to where I am now. My counsellors, my previous counsellor, has suggested that perhaps this is why that the fear that I felt in Afghanistan has triggered things from the past as well, and because I haven't dealt with them, it's just never going to go away and it will happen again. So I've decided that I'm going to approach and deal with the other issue, which is of sexual abuse, as well as my combat PTSD. So I have touched on it in a previous blog regarding the fact that I was sexually abused, and that's affected sort of the way I deal in my relationships, so to speak, and deciding whether I bat for one side or the other. So if you want to put it that way. But I mean, the bottom line is, you know, I'm not gay, I'm not straight, I'm not lesbian, I'm not a title. I am who I am, and I'll fall for the person that touches my heart without a label. So that's by the by. However, it has bothered me for some years and affected me in all my relationships, not just sexually, but in my approach to people as well, and the way I've sort of backed off things. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Now, I am going to be pretty blunt. I am going to be pretty open about it, which you all know from reading my blogs. I do tend to be right now. So that it will be talking about the sexual side of it and what I was made to do. So I thought I'd prepare you for that before I start talking, so you can switch off if you want to. My dog, she's switched off already. She's all snoozed and she's ignoring me anyway, so she's fine. She's not going to be put up with it. So from the age of probably about 8 or 9, I think, my parents had a friend come round quite a lot of the time who used to stay with us, and basically they would spend time together, but then he would babysit while they went out, and we used to call him Uncle. Now, every time we did, my stepfather was into DIY all the time, so we'd move into a house, DIY would be done, and then we'd move away to another one. And I ended up having to help them quite a lot of the time, which is quite handy because I've managed to do such a nice job to my house now. So, you know, there is one plus point to that, I guess. But Derek used to be around all the time, and I am going to name him. He used to be around the house all the time. He used to be wherever we were. And Uncle used to then start to say, well, you know, we'll take him out on a Friday. So this may be a little bit sporadic, this conversation, but you know, I'll just take it wherever it goes. I remembered that we used to go swimming. My stepdad, my sisters and my brother and me, and Derek would come along on occasion, and we'd all be sort of messing around in the pool and things, and then he trapped me against one of the corners, so I was stuck in the corner of the pool, in the deep end, and obviously couldn't go anywhere, and my back was to the pool, and kind of Derek had me pressed to the pool, and he had his sort of hand inside my costume, and there was nothing I could do. I couldn't go anywhere because he had me pressed, and I wasn't really a good swimmer, so it's not as if I could swim away either. So for the fact that I used to love swimming, I then used to hate going all the time. I used to enjoy it because we'd go swimming and we'd have a hot chocolate and a packet of crisps afterwards, you know, the usual, and then go back home. But then I just didn't, I really didn't enjoy going at all, for obvious reasons. And nobody seemed to pick up on that. You know, my stepdad didn't seem to pick up on it. I don't quite know why. But anyway, that's that now. Other times, my mum and stepdad would go out and we'd all be sat on the sofa. And I would always have to sit next to him. We'd all go up and have a bath, and then I'd have to sit next to him on the sofa with a blanket over us, and he'd be trying to touch me all the time. And he basically said that if I moved or if I said anything, then he would just tell my mum and dad that we'd misbehaved, and they wouldn't believe me, they'd believe him, because I wasn't a popular child. I know for a fact that it was difficult because I reminded my mum and stepdad of my real father, who I haven't seen since I was 3. So I guess there wasn't the closeness there that there was. I used to be frightened of my stepdad because he can give you such a whack. And I was scared that, you know, of what he could do if he found out that I'd been sort of playing up. So I was kind of stuck. And I'm a little bit embarrassed about saying that, because if I think about it now as an adult, I don't know whether I could have done anything or not, but I can't think about that now. I just got to accept that it wasn't my fault. I was too young to know, but it doesn't stop me feeling that way. But he used to just try and touch me all the time, and then got to the point where he put my hand, I'm going to call it a willy, really ugly things they are as well, but put my hand on his willy, and I remembered, I mean, I'd obviously never touched one or anything before, so I just remember it feeling really hard, and it was just really weird, and he was just, he just kept moving my hand up and down, and basically he'd gripped my hand, so there wasn't a lot I can do, and it was really weird because this was all under the blanket, and my brothers and sisters were in the room, and I was just very conscious of, you know, what the hell was going on. And he did whack me a couple of times if I didn't do what I wanted, so I don't know, I was stuck. So this happened a few times. There's at one point I remember my mum and dad had stayed out all night, and Derek had stayed over and made me sleep in his bed. He'd basically make me do things. At one point he put his willy into my mouth, and I just remember it really hurting, you know, couldn't breathe properly, and he was just, I don't know, I hadn't a clue what was going on, and I was frightened. And this would happen, he would then touch me, which I hated, and I always remembered sort of being sore afterwards. He never did anything else other than use his hand, that I can recollect anyway, but I just always remembered it hurting, and I was sore afterwards as well, and the day after. And then I'd always be wary of him coming around after, well, I mean, even before then, but I was used to dread him coming round, and then it was decided, I don't know how or what came to this thing, but every Friday night we would, all the kids and him would get in his van, and we'd all go to Fleetwood or to Lytham, and then on the way back we'd stop and have a Coke and a packet of crisps, which is what we used to do with Mum and Dad, and that was quite nice. But this was, I used to dread it, and you know, sometimes he'd let me go and play out with my sisters and my brother. Other times he'd just tell them that I'd been naughty, and I'd be stuck in the back of the van, and then he'd come in and I'd have to pretend to be asleep so I didn't have to do anything to him. But it didn't stop him doing anything to me, and he would touch me and then play with himself while I was just led there pretending to be asleep, and that there kind of wasn't anything. I just didn't see any other way, because I didn't want to consciously. I mean, I was conscious, but he didn't know that. So this happened for a couple of years, I think. He also used to make me, when we were in the car, sit at the back. Obviously he was driving and I'd have to sit at the back, but not on the seat. I'd sit in the well, and I'd have to put my hand round the seat, and he'd put my hand onto his willy, and I'd have to be touching him while he's driving. And nobody seemed to question why I was sat in the footwell. Why would you want to sit on the footwell if there was space in the back of the car? But his excuse was, well, there's 5 kids, so one of you's going to have to sit in the footwell. And that was just accepted, I guess. So I don't really know how it stopped. I think, thankfully, we moved. And we didn't really see him again. Now, this was a guy that used to work with my stepdad and lived with his mum. And I'm going to trace him. I'm going to find him. And I've decided I'm going to knock on the door. Because I haven't got any closure on this. You know, I've spent years now trying to form relationships with people, messing them up, switching off when people are getting close to me, or I'd become too attached to somebody else and met it up that way. So my emotions are just, and still are to some degree, all over the place. You know, I could be in the middle of the most beautiful lovemaking, and then suddenly, like that, you know, there's just a switch that goes off in my brain, and I just can't do anything. I just freeze. If I'm with a bloke, I can't bear to look at them naked, because just a sight of the willy just makes me sick. You know, and it's not a good thing when you know, your ex-fiancé stood in front of you and all I want to do is vom, you know, when he's naked, because it doesn't make him feel that good, does it? And he, you know, a lot of my partners said, oh, they understand, but you know, if you've got somebody that's, you can't meet anybody that's highly sexed, but how can you explain to somebody that, you know, suddenly you're in the throes of it and then you just suddenly stop and go cold on them and then go cold for weeks? How can you explain to them that it's not them without, you know, delving into things and then making it a big problem? Because then, you know, it's not natural then, everything's sort of forced or tried, or can we try tonight, or, you know. And I guess a little bit the shame hasn't gone away. And the more I logically think about it, the more, I don't know if there's anything I could have done. But, you know, what I keep trying to tell myself is that I was a kid. Was I after attention? I don't know. It wasn't, it was his fault. He should never have been there. I know that, but it doesn't stop me feeling bad, feeling guilty and feeling ashamed of what's happened. And it stopped me being able to have a proper relationship with somebody. And I do try, but do you know what? If I had a lifelong partner and never had sex again, I wouldn't care. You know, be tactile to somebody, go to bed at night, you know, nice cuddle, spooning, you know, just falling asleep in somebody's arms. I'd love that. I'd really, really love that. But it's hard to find somebody with the same sort of frame of mind that doesn't mind not having, you know, sex all the time. It's not an important element to me, but it would be to somebody else. So how can you explain that without going too in depth? You know, and when do you tell people? Do you tell them at the beginning of a relationship and put them off? Do you tell them when you start to get close but freeze up? Or do you tell them, or never tell them, but I don't like keeping secrets? So, as much as I'm independent and I can do as much DIY as I want thanks to my stepdad, you know, I would like that closeness with somebody at some point. I don't know how I'm going to cope. I am going to address it with the counsellor, because I'm starting my counselling again tomorrow. In fact, I've not had any counselling now for just over 12 months regarding my combat PTSD. But when we had the assessment, a little bit of my past came out as well, and it was identified as it was when at first batch of counselling. It was identified that the fear that I felt in Afghanistan had triggered other fears as well, and that was it did cause a problem in my previous relationship. So, but that, I mean, I don't mind anymore. He's up and left anyway. So, and remarried. But there we go. I think, why am I saying this? One, just to let people out there who may be watching know that I'm not the only one it's happened to. You know, if it's happened to you, you're not on your own. You have to speak out. There's so much stigma surrounding mental health and you know, PTSD and things like that. But PTSD is just, as I've said, it's not just combat PTSD. It's not just someone who's been in a war zone. It's also people that are suffering domestic abuse. You know, I mean, it's got to get to you. It gets to your mind because you start thinking, well, is it me? You know, why are they doing this to me? Why are they treating me this way? The emotional abuse is gets you more, I think, than anything else. And you start doubting yourself. You start losing confidence in yourself. And I think I just want it out there that I think the stigma starts within. You know, you get that embarrassed and things, you tend to sort of shy away from other people that might try and get to know you a bit more. You're ashamed of it yourself, so you don't want to talk to other people about it. And I believe, personally, that's where the stigma starts. Other people tend to label you then, oh, you're spoiled, you know, you're dirty, or you're messed up in the head, or in fact, as my ex said to me, and I'm going to swear now, so sorry, Nana and Grandad, you're fucked up in the head. Well, that's really helpful, isn't it? You know, I know I've had struggles, I know I'm messed up with it, but it doesn't stop me being who I am, and in fact, it's made me the person I am. And you know, despite the fact that yeah, I'm a bit messed up, I have nightmares, I can't settle in relationships, it doesn't make me any less loving. I still love somebody, I still want to be with somebody, you know, I still help others. I've had a fantastic career, it hasn't messed that up. Well, my combat PTSD might have done a little bit, but you know, the sexual relationship side hasn't. It's not fazed me. I'm still successful. I'm a successful career woman, you know, so it doesn't have to hinder you. There are ways in this treatment, and there's other people out there you can talk to that can relate to you. You know, if you don't feel like you can talk to your family about it, you don't feel like you can go and get help for fear of ridicule or fear of losing your job, or you don't want to be another statistic, or here's some pills, go away and just relax. What's happening to you is real. What's happened to me is real. And unless we speak about it, other people are just going to brush it off. You know, I wrote in my blog the other day, I've got some lovely friends that are injured, you know, in Afghanistan. And they're getting so much help, and I'm so pleased for them. But because their wounds are easy, you can see what's happened to them. You know, they get all the help they need. But, you know, I came back from Afghanistan wounded. It's opened previous wounds. You know, it is an illness that needs dealing with. But because you can't see it, you know, you look at this video screen now, I've got bags under my eyes and I've got a little few dog chops. But other than that, you can't really tell, I guess, that there's something wrong. You know, I'll come walk down the street. Yeah, I'll have headphones on to damp out the noise, but other people walk down the street with headphones on. You know, listening to music, not hiding out from the noise, not hiding out from the bangs or listening to the sirens, just listening to music so it looks natural. And you know, we do get fobbed off. Oh, just going to take a couple of weeks leave. You're a bit stressed, you're a bit down. You know, book yourself up, you'll be all right. It's not easy as that. You know, you wouldn't say to somebody that's drowning, you know, just sort yourself out, take a deep breath and come back up. It doesn't, you know, there is something tragically wrong, and it's something that needs dealing with, and it's something that needs serious attention. And as you may have noticed now, I'm quite passionate about raising the awareness of it, and I hope that if anybody out there is suffering with any form of mental illness or any form of PTSD, then please touch base and at least have us to talk to. You know, there isn't just me. If you look on my blog, there are other people on there that have made comments that are more than happy to help you. We need to talk to each other. At least you've got somebody, because in those dark moments when you think that there's no other way out, then, you know, touch base. You know, we lost an amazing friend, Lexi, because she didn't see another way out, but she didn't speak out either. Hardly anybody knew what was wrong with her. You know, only her closest friends knew some of the problems she was going through. But, you know, nobody really knew. And so many people just don't see another way out. And I've been through there. I've been, you know, in that dark space a few times. And it's just so easy. Even now when I think about it, I just think, what, you know, the release. But release for who? You know, the demons are still there. And when you've gone, those demons transfer to other people, loved ones that you've left behind. And then, you know, you're just giving them. So, at least let's talk to each other, you know, and then we'll just, I don't know, we'll try and get you some help. I'm trying my hardest to get a website together. And then it'll be a community where people can talk to each other and just, you know, if you're feeling down or if you're depressed, just let's have a chat, eh? Even if you just want to compare medication, you know, talk to other people that's going through it themselves. Don't be on your own. It's only with me coming out, and my blogs help me so much, but it's only with me doing that I've realised there's so many other people out there that need it too, which is why I'm, one, continuing the blog, but two, I'm now going out on the roads. I've got a few talks booked already. I'm going to talk about it, because if we don't, we're going to remain an enigma, aren't we? Nobody will know, and then the stigma will come in again. So let's just talk about it, and I'm not going to let it go, and I am going to find Derek, because it wasn't my fault. Thank you.